Yeah, so in this video, we're gonna jump back to the 90s to a good old time when things seemed simpler, before social media and forcing the influence on movies as we knew it. And what do you get when you take an old rapper from a very violent, enforced rap group, some comedy, and some veteran black actors from way back when? Well, you get Friday, a movie that I honestly still love all these years later. I can't believe the movie's 30 this year. It's crazy, man. Like, Ice Cube really launched a solid career after this movie. I think it showed that he's actually a good writer because he did write the film, wrote it, produced it, paid for it, got the cast together, and shot the movie. I think in like 2 months, maybe even less than that. The movie responsible for launching Chris Tucker's career. Like, think about it. What did we see Chris Tucker in Before Friday, right? Tiny Lister Jr., Anna Marie Horsford, Regina King, and she was already around for a long time, but she had the Poetic Justice and 227. And it's crazy to think that Regina King is like a household name now, but she should have been one so long ago. Let's see, the legendary John Witherspoon, rest in peace. It's just a great cast. It's a great movie that takes place where we obviously know where Issa Rae's One of Them Days that came out this year is clearly inspired by, which I will do a video on that soon. I like that movie. And I just gotta say, 30 years later, I think Friday still holds up as a movie. I think it tackles the problems of like black urban life in a way that felt more normal than what we've been getting. So we by that point we'd had what Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, things like that, and they all were just these hyper violent, hyper fairly sexual movies. And these things just took place, but Friday took a different approach. It took the more like household vibe, just walking down the street and random stuff would happen approach. And I think that's what made Friday work, because in a time where all those movies had us getting shot up and killed and whatever, Friday decided to be like, man, what do you do when dad sees you, wasting cereal? You get one of the most famous scenes in black cinema history ever made. You know what I'm saying? And then there's just everything about Craig and Smokey's friendship that you really miss in the sequels, but it's still something to like really cherish about that aspect. I do want to say one of the things I enjoyed about Friday is the sense that anything that happens in this movie can happen in real life. Like, if you just wake up one day and you get fired, you're like, damn, what I get fired for? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the movie starts off. Obviously, it's the morning. Craig is waking up. Everyone's waking up. The day's getting started. Mom's making breakfast, getting ready for work. Dad getting ready for work. Sister gotta go to school, and Craig just sits at home. And introducing Smokey. Smokey comes in. It's one of the funniest entrances in movie history. Then you got them just doing shit all day. Honestly, Friday goes from so many quote lines. Hey, Miss Parker, like Bernie Mac's random show up, which is hilarious too. Then you got the idea that Debo, the neighborhood bully, which I think everybody has had one of those at some point in their life, which comes down to being one of the most satisfying endings ever. But going forward, we find out there's a clear dynamic that Smokey's supposed to be selling for Big Worm. Smokey can't sell for Big Worm because he's too busy smoking it. Getting high on somebody else's supply and not your own, sure, but you messing with the neighborhood drug dealer. You see what I'm saying? And there's that aspect of, yeah, if you don't sell my shit, I'm gonna show up and kill you and your homie just because. And for some reason, Smokey ain't scared of him until the worst situation happens, and it does make people think, man, what are you doing messing with these people in the first place? But anyway, it goes to show like how deep Friday could get. I think what Friday did best. It's funny that this line was said 30 years ago, because I think it stands tall even more today than it did 30 years ago. When, he walks in the room, he sees Craig got a gun, yells at him, like, y'all boys are so scared to get an ass whooping, so quick to pick up a gun. It's one of my favorite scenes in black cinema. It just made it so much. It's funny because Ice Cube wrote that. You know what I'm saying? The guy from NWA. F the police, America's Most Wanted, got a gun on all his albums, you know what I'm saying? It's so funny that he wrote that line. It's just funny to me. And put your hands up. This will make you a man, and it damn sure do. That's what made you a man. I love that. I love that lesson. Like as an adult, I look at that scene like, man, this scene was important. If you got beef with each other, either fight it out or shake hands. But y'all shooting each other, it's not the way. And I love you think you're a man with that gun in your hand, don't you? I'm a man without it. Now that line is so powerful. It's a powerful scene. It's John Witherspoon at some of his best. I miss John Witherspoon, man. Him at some of his best. Ice Cube clearly showing he can act, but he's not like the greatest actor yet. But he does get better, obviously. It's just one of those lines where I think people should really watch that scene. I think a lot of people need that scene. We need that scene now more than ever. What am I going into? We gotta pay attention to the comedy because Friday's got some of the funniest quotable comedy still to this day. It is a 30-year movie and people still quote it like it came out last year. That's a cult classic phenomenon if I've ever seen one. And it shows how good of the film it is. It may not be a lot of people's favorite comedy or anything like that, but I think Friday is a phenomenal film that I highly recommend if you've never seen it. Um, if you don't particularly like the humor, I get it, but I do think the movie comes together in such a crazy way that it works only because it's this movie, right? And to get into like a certain aspect, I do enjoy the type of women you should be with, the type of women you shouldn't be with, the type of man you should be with, the type of man you shouldn't be with, are small undertones throughout the movie as well, right? Like Felicia with Debo and then Craig with Paula, his crazy ass girlfriend. Let's go into that for a second, where she calls him yelling at him for being another girl. But as an adult, I finally realized she's yelling at him the whole time, but she's got a dude laying behind her. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy. But yeah, man, like Friday, it'll surprise you. And he ends up with Nia Long. Nia Long's character Debbie shows up. His mom mentioned her at the beginning. She's like, she's cute. She's in school. She got a teeth. She's a good girl. Your mama, if your mom love you and don't want you to fail, she'll set you up with a girl like that. You see what I'm saying? So I like that aspect. I like that aspect a lot. What gets me about Friday that I didn't notice until I became an adult is, Debo's the bully, right? And Debo walks around the neighborhood messing with everybody, talking heavy to everybody, being rude, aggressive, whatever, whatever. And if you pay attention to Friday, he never fucks with Craig. He never messes with Craig. He never touches him, never steps over his boundary with him, nothing. If you really watch that, he never bothers Craig one time. It's interesting, right? Because now we're getting into like the climax because the movie's not long. There's not that many stuff in the movie. But, the whole thing comes around with Smokey and Big Worm where, it's getting closer and closer to the time where they're going to show up to kill him. Get to the time frame. Somebody drives past and it doesn't happen. But then somebody drives up and it's a woman that Smokey was supposed to get set up with earlier in the film. And it just, Chris Tucker plays that scene so well where he's just like, you can't, no, I'm not trying to mess with you, I ain't gonna tell you that. But you know what I'm saying, like he's not attracted to her, but he doesn't want to tell her that. He's trying to lay her off the best way he can, and he can't do it, and she's just into it, and he's like, oh my god. And it just gets worse and worse as it goes, and he just is miserable the whole scene. Oh my god, that shit is funny. But yeah, so we get into that part. Smokey sneaks off to go do something, comes back. They get into the situation. Drive by happens. They freak out, they run, shooting happens, whatever. Obviously, nobody gets hit, nobody gets killed. Good, right? They got away somehow. They come back. The whole big climax of, you know, you find out Debo had beat Felicia, Debbie's sister. So now there's arguing, going back and forth. Debo hits her. Craig shows up, stands up to him. And this is where like the tone of the movie just completely shifts for me because it's like the whole rest of the movie is played up as comedy. Even the drive-by scene is played up as comedy, even though they're getting shot at by Uzis, right? But the whole movie just flips. And now it's like a serious situation. And the big moment comes around again where Craig's going to shoot him. Craig goes, his dad talks to him like, yo, put the gun down. It ain't worth it. You don't got to shoot him. You ain't got to do it. You'll throw your life away. And everybody's telling Craig not to do it. Flashback to the conversation he's had with his dad earlier in the day. You don't need the gun. Put your hands up, this, and the third. So he hands his dad the gun, and then they get it popping. You know what I'm saying? Start fighting, mixing, getting it in. And one of the most surprising, like obviously it's 90s, so it's a little goofy looking, but surprisingly violent still because, Craig straight up hits him in the face with a brick. It's not chopped either. Like you see him hit him in the face with a brick, which is it's just so graphic for a movie like Friday. I mean, the movie is rated R, but that's still really graphic for a movie like Friday. And he beats up Debo and he doesn't have to kill him. The message from earlier comes back. He doesn't use the gun. He doesn't throw his life away. He takes some punches. He punches, what I'm saying, hits him with stuff, and he knocks him out. He wins the woman at the end. Just some really great stuff in this movie, man. Smokey is with Smokey, everybody's happy. The movie's over. The neighborhood bully got his ass beat. And all's well that ends well. The big worm thing doesn't really get solved. I mean, there's a scene before the end credits where Smokey is obviously like, "Look, I'm going to rehab. I'm sick of this. I don't want nothing to do with this." Obviously, it was a joke, right? Like it was a joke, and it ends, and the big worm thing isn't really resolved, but that's fine because it didn't really need to, I guess. Man, that's Friday. Honestly, I look back on Friday so fondly because I saw it when I was like really young, and I thought it was cool, and I laughed at all the stuff, but I didn't take the serious stuff too serious enough. And as an adult, you miss all those. You see all those things that you didn't see when you were a kid, and like I look back on Friday really fondly. I think it still holds up really well. I think people should really take the messages from that scene seriously because I think we need a movie like Friday now more than ever. I really do. And that's pretty much all I got to say on the topic. If you guys like the video, subscribe for more. I'll see you all on the next one.